In her book entitled The Holy Thursday Revolution, Beatrice Brutaux presents to us a helpful analysis of this socio-political paradigm of domination. She writes, and I quote, "The theme that I believe is basic to many of our political ills is domination. We are all familiar with domination. We see it in the way decisions are made in our families, in the way orders are given at work, in the way social life is structured in our city by gender, race, and wealth, in the way our industry or profession relates to its competitors or its market or its clientele, in the way governmental agencies function, and in the international relations, economic, political, and military. We speak colloquially of the top dog and the underdog, of getting top service and being the low man on the totem pole, of who wears the pants and who calls the shots. Psychologically and ethologically, we speak of domination, submission relations, and of dominance ranking." End of quote. This theme of domination then helps us contextualize what I want to say about our own distinction between servanthood and servitude. In a sense, to speak of servitude is de facto to speak within the paradigm of domination. Servitude, understood precisely as an expression of the domination-submission pattern of relations. This is so because domination, and I quote here, is an asymmetrical or non-reciprocal relationship of determination of being, of the fact that a being is or what it is, or of how it can act, or of how it is, or of how it is to be valued. Domination is a relationship that does not work the same in both directions. One commands, the other obeys. One shows respect, the other accepts it, but does not return it. One gains privileges from which the other is excluded. End of quote. This definition of domination by Brutaux further clarifies for us what the practice and experience of servitude has meant and it still means today, namely, reducing the totality of the person to an object incapable of determining herself or himself. At the very heart of domination or servitude, then, rests a denial of human freedom and a vicious act of human violence. Contrasting this dehumanizing and violent experience of servitude or domination for Brutaux is the logic of love, or agape. Unlike eros, which is understood as a self-seeking love and desire, agape is the love that seeks the good of the beloved unconditionally. This unconditional and self-giving love is made manifest to us in a revolutionary way in the Holy Thursday actions of Jesus Christ, where an alternative paradigm for servitude and domination is best exemplified. and I'm quoting that section for you. We now, describing the Holy Thursday experience, we now have what we may call a communion paradigm, a symmetrical, reciprocal relation of enhancement of being, that beings may become all that they can be, may act in maximum freedom, and be valued for their incomparable preciousness. Here, I am by virtue in being in you, with you, for you, not outside and not against, not even separate. Consequently, helping one another is always helping oneself, for the selfhood itself has expanded in a complex systemic way, and the drive to create comes forward as more fundamental, naturally for a child of God, and yields a deeper satisfaction than the desire for gain or protection. There is more free energy available than under domination, less inhibition by self-defensive fears. So there is a greater deal, more cultural development. End of quote. This communion paradigm and or logic of agape helps define for us what is meant by our category of servanthood. Servanthood is precisely that reciprocal relationship between persons that brings about greater human flourishing and freedom for all those involved. In this context of communion and love, then servanthood becomes the very exercise of our human freedom that seeks the good of the beloved. Unlike servitude, where the person is reduced to an object, servanthood stands as the polar opposite, reminding us that our care and service for one another, if grounded in love, will only yield greater fruit. Now we can see, again, Bertrand, now we can see how this is a new and different logic. It establishes identity not by mutual negation, but by mutual affirmation. The more, and I know you can relate to this, the more you give yourself away, the more you give yourself away in agape, the more you are you. The more being you have because you are doing your true being thing. Under identity by mutual negation or the domination paradigm, the more you try to save your life by acquiring advantages for yourself, the more you lose your life because you are doing the opposite of the truly living thing. End of quote. What ultimately distinguishes servanthood from servitude is the inherent freedom found in servanthood, which allows the person or servant to give herself, himself away in love. I mean, that's basic Christian spirituality. You know, we have to die. We have to give ourselves away so that new life can be born.